Before we get into the episode, I am thrilled to announce that the EntreMD Business School is open for enrollment. The EntreMD Business School is the only school of its kind for physicians who want to build 6, 7, and multiple 7-figure businesses. Over the last 2 years, we have had hundreds of doctors go through the school with unbelievable results. Some of them run brands, some of them run private practices, some of them are coaches, some have other kinds of service-based businesses or product-based businesses. And we've had people come in and cross the 6-figure milestone, cross the 7-figure milestone, cross the multiple 7-figure milestone. You will be in a place where you'll get the coaching, the community, the accountability that you need to thrive as an entrepreneur, especially in the times that we're in. So maybe you've been following me for a while. Maybe you've been getting so much out of the EntreMD podcast and you've been wondering, how can I work with Dr. Una and the community more? Well, this is your chance. Come join us in the EntreMD Business School. It is application only. So go to entremd.com/business to turn in your application. I cannot tell you how many doctors have made statements like this. I recovered my investment in the first week. I recovered my investment in my bank account in the first 90 days. This is the best investment I've made in myself ever. I want you to have that kind of story, not just a story of building a great business that serves a lot and earns a lot, but having a business that gives you the freedom to live life on your terms. So don't wait any longer. entremd.com/business. And now for the episode. Hi, docs. Welcome to the EntreMD podcast, where it's all about helping amazing physicians just like you embrace entrepreneurship so you can have the freedom to live life and practice medicine on your terms. I'm your host, Dr. Una. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the EntreMD podcast. Today, we are doing a podcast episode like none other because I have Natalie here. And Natalie, what is your title? She's the sales director. She's she's part of the team that's pulling off the mastermind that we're running together. She's the figure outer of all things.
Yeah, that's my official title is the figure outer of all things.
There we go. Okay. So I acquired what you would consider a marketing agency in November of 2022. And prior to acquiring the company, I'd worked with the company for more than a year, maybe even 2 years at the time. And now we get to do all these fun stuff. It's like marketing, content creation, all of this stuff. We get to do it together. And so Natalie's so gracious that she comes on the show today. And we're going to talk about content creation, the struggles around it, how to overcome them, some of the special things that we've done to kind of make it simpler and things like that. So this is going to be so good. So Natalie, super excited. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I want you to take a moment and introduce yourself to the lovely doc who's listening to you right now.
Okay. Well, my name is Natalie. I've been working in marketing for about 7 or 8 years, but specifically been working with physician branding and marketing just with physicians for 4 years now. So it's kind of this niche that I fell into and absolutely love. I would consider myself a bit of a physician branding expert. And yeah, it's very exciting. I love working with doctors. I love helping them, come up with content and market themselves. And yeah, that's kind of what I do.
Well, I love that you love that because that is a unique challenge for the physician community. And we're just going to go ahead and we're just going to start doing all the things, right out the gate. So now content I've noticed, and this is from, coaching hundreds of doctors, talking to thousands of doctors, that content creation, marketing, like it's a true struggle, right, for physicians. And so you've done this for 4 years, like specifically in the physician community. So talk to me about some of the struggles that you've noticed around content creation, especially as it relates to marketing.
So there definitely in the past couple of years has been this huge boom of doctors on social media. So a lot of them are like, oh my gosh, I'm already late to the game. I need to start doing this and putting out content. So there's like this huge learning curve of like, what are the social media platforms? How do you post? How often do you post? The different types of content that you can post. So taking the time to actually learn how to do all of it and where to post and figuring that out. And just like the energy, right? Because that's a whole different animal. It's a whole different, you have to have the bandwidth to put yourself in the mindset of figuring out those things. So really I need to be on social media yesterday, but I don't even know how to post.
Awesome. And those are a lot of things that come up for me as well. And in addition to that, one of my favorite is, what if I run out of content, right? There's this thing of, I'm not going to have enough to like post every day or post 3 times a week. I'm not going to have enough to do that. So that's, that's powerful. What comes up for you as far as time, right? I get a lot of, like, it's not possible for me to add one more thing to my plate and stuff. Does that come up a lot for you too?
Oh, absolutely. I was actually talking to a doctor yesterday who was in that whole like, oh my gosh, I'm realizing I need to be on social media. And she said it took her an hour to figure out how to do an Instagram reel. And mind you, that's a 90-second video. It took her an hour to figure out how to produce 90 seconds of content. And, that's the struggle, is that it takes so much time. It's such a different shift in, even just sitting down and thinking like how, what it's going to be about. People just really.
A lot of time there.
It's a big commitment. Yeah.
A lot of time there. Okay. Now, so the company that, we acquired is now called the Physicians Marketing Team. And, we call it that because, we want to support doctors along their journey of marketing, especially when it comes to organic marketing. And, of course, we're going what we strive to do is, to be best in class and be the leader in the space and really just support doctors. And one of the things we think about is a way to streamline this process, is a way to make it where you don't have to spend all your time. So we have a unique approach to it, right? So talk to me about that, right? Like if you were showing a doc how to leverage creating content, right? What would you tell them?
Well, first of all, the biggest thing is that the content that people are engaging with and the content that converts, the good content, is video content. So the text posts on Instagram and the quotes and the really like produced beautiful images that, we all have probably tons of templates in our Canva account, for, those don't convert as well. So what's nice is that we have this system where you can just sit down, in front of your computer, in front of your phone, just sit down, record 10 to 30 minutes of video content. So it can be about any sort of topic, questions that, come up in your practice, things that you wish, people knew when they came in to see you. You sit down, you record it. And then what we do with that video is we put it into a podcast. We put it onto a YouTube channel. We chop up your video into like those 90-second reels. So nice little nuggets of quick information. And it posts on your social media platforms. So from that one, less than an hour, that one time sitting down and recording your video, you're getting an entire week's worth of content. We also email your email list. So it's a very streamlined process that requires the absolute bare minimum of time of our clients for that content.
Love it. And, I'm a client, so of course I love it, right? Of course I love it. Okay, so we're talking about one piece of video content that ends up being a podcast episode, a YouTube video, an email to the email list, and then a week's worth of social media content, right? And that's maybe, 20, 30 minutes for prep, 20, 30 minutes for recording, and you were kind of done with that. Okay. Now, for somebody who is like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. I'm going to do this myself, right? I'm going to do this with my VA and all of that stuff. What kind of tips would you give that person as far as maybe saving time or not getting frustrated by the process and things like that?
So there's a lot of tips that I can offer. And I think the biggest one, and this is the hardest for our clients to get over, perfection is the enemy of done. And so I think that when you're first starting out, your instinct is you want this perfect background. You want the lighting just right. You want to make sure that your ring light is, getting your good side. You want to make sure that all your hairs are like properly in place. You'll probably record it a dozen times because you say that weird word one way. So the biggest thing is just doing it and saying done is good and letting it be raw and authentic, because that's what people want to see, right? So like those overly produced, there's a time and a place for it, but people just like genuine content. People just like, I'm sitting down at my desk and like, here's something a patient just asked me, and I thought it was a great question and I'd love to share it with you. It's just do it in one take and be happy with it.
And of course, the more you do it, the better you'll get at it, the better you'll get at the content. But the important thing is to really start doing it. And, when we think about perfection, it's a really funny word because you can't really perfect something you're not doing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, do it, put it out there, do it, put it out there. And every time you do it, if all you're doing is making it 1% better, then over the course of a year, if you're doing, your weekly content, you're going to be 52% better, which is not half bad. You know what I mean? So now someone might be thinking like, it should not take all that, right? Like I want you, so think about somebody who is not really doing any of that. They're not emailing their list. They're not showing up on social media on a daily basis. They don't have a podcast. They don't have a YouTube channel. They don't have any of that. What would you tell that person? Like, why is this important, right? Especially in this time we live in. Why is it important?
Oh, the time that we live in. And again, in the past couple of years, there really has been this shift to, for better or worse, people getting medical information. People get their information on social media. And so for one thing, you want to be at the end of whatever search they're doing. You want your answer to be the one that they learn and they take. And of course, that's how people are finding doctors and coaches and products and courses, all of those things. And so if you're not there, people aren't going to find you. That just kind of is, the nature of things right now. And people like seeing doctors on social media. They like that relatability. It's like seeing your, teacher at the grocery store. It's like, wow, this real doctor has this real life. And it's just a great way to get patients to educate. I know that doctors are so big on education. And so that's such a great tool to just, put the right information out there.
Yeah. And I talk about this in the Entre Midi Method book as well, where I was talking about when I first started my first business, which was my private practice. And I was like, how am I going to get the word out there? And I started looking at TV ads. The price of it was so unbelievably astronomical to me at the time that I don't remember. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it was so big that I just deleted. I'm like, forget that. Of course I can't do that. Right. And then I was like, okay, so let's try radio instead. And it was thousands of dollars for like 30 seconds of a radio ad time, a day and things like that. And you can never tell when it will be and who's listening, and of the people listening, who's even in your area where it's an option for them to be your patient. You know what I mean? And so when social media and all these other outlets came up, I was like, you know what? I can build my own show. Like I couldn't afford to put, my stuff on TV, but I can build my own show, which gives me the opportunity to build my know, like, and trust factor, and people get to say, okay, this is the doctor I want to choose. And, I did that for my private practice. I did that for Entre Midi. I've done that for every business that I've run. And on the other hand, I talk to a lot of people in the Facebook ad world, and with all the iOS changes and things like that, retargeting is so much more difficult. So ads are, for the most part, not performing as well. And so a lot of people who were heavily dependent on ads are now leaning back on organic marketing, right? Which, of course, you can do both, and you want to do both, but you don't want to do one, right? You want to have that muscle for organic marketing really well built out. So that's amazing. Like it does take all that.
Yeah. And you're right. Like people really are steering kind of away from the paid traffic because it's very much a pay to play kind of thing. And so unless you're up there competing with Google kind of budgets, social media is free, and you can just get on Instagram Live or get on TikTok and build a huge following in a very short amount of time without spending a single dime on putting it in front of people.
Yeah. So we need to take advantage of what we have, right? Okay. So now we talked about the service that we offer, right? Which is, somebody would give us, 10 to 30 minutes of video content, right? And we can split it into all these things per week. And then we can split that into a podcast, split into YouTube, a weekly email, and social media. And it's done in a way where it is designed to promote your business, right? It's designed to push things forward. It's strategic. It's not just random, pretty graphics and things like that. Now, so who would this be a good fit for? Like, there are all kinds of doctors listening, but who is the person you're like, okay, listen to me. Okay, this has your name all over it. I need to not pass go. I need to not collect 200. Just go book your call now, right? Like, who is that person?
So the person whose time is much better spent doing other things. If you have a business that's already generating a profit and you're really looking to scale and really build very quickly, and you don't have the time, the patience, the energy to do any of the things, and you just want to focus on what only you can do, that's the person that needs this, because it's, an hour of your time and it's saving 8 hours, potentially worth of creating the content yourself. And it's, you don't even have to think about it. You just get to record your videos and send them off to us. And you have this like magical social media just kind of running in the background and converting and doing good things for you.
And doing good things for you. I love it. Now let's pivot this a tad bit and talk about, so there's a part of, we take all the heavy lifting because really that's what it is, right? And so if you think about it, you're saving 8 hours approximately a week and things like that. For somebody who is doing this, what is something, so let's say your dream clients, right? Like, so they're producing this every week, but in addition, they're doing one or two things that kind of take what the team is doing to the next level, right? Like, what kind of things will that person do to make it even better? Let's say, so I'm a client, right? And I signed up for the service, and you guys are taking care of my social media and all of those things, right? But sometimes there's a little bit of a two-way street. Like, so what could I do, right, that will make what you do even better, the results even bigger?
Well, one thing that I find that our clients find very helpful, that's helpful for us and helpful for them, is just like batching, so sitting down and doing like an entire month's worth of videos in one sitting. That's really helpful because you're already kind of like in the frame of mind to record, and you just like boom, 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 knock them out. That makes things really, really helpful. And in fact, I think everybody pretty much does that, because once you're on a roll, butter baby, keep going.
Keep going. I know. And especially if you're clinical, oh my goodness, they ask you all those questions all day, every day. So just do it. Okay.
And that's the thing that really, it's funny because, some people worry, I'm not going to have enough content. I don't have ideas for content. And it's like, how many times are you just absolutely shaking your head and robotronically answering the exact same questions over and over and over again? Like, there's your content, you will never run out of content. I guarantee it. People will always have questions for you.
Yeah. And I like that you bring that up, because that's when we think about content, right? Like, so I'm talking as a physician entrepreneur now. Sometimes we're thinking about something that is genius, that nobody's ever heard before, nobody's ever asked before, and I've never talked about it before, right? But you're talking about those questions that you get asked over and over, and you're like, oh my goodness, this is common sense, or I've answered this same question 500,000 times. A lot of times your best content is that content.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, even though to you, it's like, it's not rocket science. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not innovative. Like, the question doesn't have to be new. Maybe the way you answer it, or the stories you tell alongside it, or the angle you come from could be new, but the content doesn't have to be new at all. I
have a very good example of this as a social media user, because a couple of years ago, I was getting ready to have surgery, my first surgery ever. And I'm very, I was nervous. I had never been under anesthesia. I didn't know the process.
Okay, hang on. I'm just going to interrupt you right there. So you were nervous about your surgery. You were nervous because you had never been under anesthesia before. And your response was to go to TikTok?
Yeah, for better or worse.
And I'm not judging. This is just so everybody can hear this and realize that this is the world we live in.
So, and I mean, this is something that I always do. And again, for better or worse, this was my instinct, right? I wanted to hear like what the process is, what, you know, maybe not necessarily what medications they're going to use, because that's, you know, way above my pay grade, but like the steps and the things and, you know, the do's and don'ts before. And the amount of stress that it alleviated going into this and having this really clear layman's understanding of what my body was going to go through, it made the process so much better. And I'm sure that anesthesiologists like thought, I do this every day. This is so, you know, I could do this in my sleep. Why am I going to do this video about the process? And I'm sitting here like, thank God this anesthesiologist recorded this video and posted it on TikTok, because I feel so much safer going into my surgery. And that is a genuine, true story that actually happened.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. So a lot of times the mundane, the things you've answered again and again, things that are common sense to you, things that are not rocket science, things that, you know, some of those, that's your best content. And so Natalie, I can imagine if we were to talk on a podcast every week, it's going to be around, you know, social media, the visual aspects of branding and all that stuff. And that's your bread and butter. That's what you've done for the last 7 years. And you're going to keep talking about it, and people are going to keep getting big ahas, right? And for me, it will be a lot around marketing, around building a team, around, of course, you can build a multiple seven-figure business and things like that, which I've talked about all 3 years that I've had this podcast and, you know, keep talking about it. So, you know, for you're listening to this, I want you to just think about the things that are not rocket science. And I want you to, and the things people always come to you and they're always asking you about your patients, your clients. That's your content. That's your content. Look no further. Okay. So tell us a little bit more about the Physicians Marketing Team and where we can find you. So if someone is like, I am that person you were talking about, where do they go?
Yes. So if you are that person that I'm talking about, we would love to talk to you. So if you go to our website, physicians with an S, physiciansmarketingteam.com, there is a place on the homepage where you can book a call to sit down with me and I can answer your questions and we can see if it's a good fit for you. And yeah, we'd love to work with you. We'd love to take this really huge weight off of your shoulders.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I will say that, you know, I've always been pretty good at social media. That's I've built all my businesses off. Well, more so EntreMD than my private practice, because, you know, in the beginning of private practice, I wasn't doing anything. I was a scared entrepreneur. But I did a lot of that on social media, and I'm pretty good at it. And, you know, I don't feel like it takes a lot of time, and I know how to use it strategically and all that stuff. But I will tell you, after we developed this offer and that started happening, it's really nice to have it. Like, I never felt it as a weight, but it's really nice to have that off my plate, where my emails are going out, my podcast is doing its thing, YouTube that was, you know, sporadic is now resurrected, and, you know, things are just happening. That's really good. And it gives me the space to then go on to focus on other things. So which has been really powerful. So love working with you guys. It's a lot of fun.
I tell doctors all the time, like, you can absolutely do what I do. You can probably figure out how to do it as quickly as I do it. But the difference between you and me is that I'm not licensed to practice medicine. So spend your time doing the things that, you know, you worked really hard to be able to do, because that's how your time is obviously best used. Yeah.
So thank you for what you do. I want to publicly say that here, you and the whole team truly love it. And for everyone listening, you know that I'm a big advocate for physicians. I'm a big advocate for physician entrepreneurs. And I'm a big advocate that we can build the most innovative, most impactful, most profitable businesses we can. Okay. And we have, you know, hundreds of examples, people who are doing it in the context of the EntreMD Business School and things like that. So I want you to really take this and start to rethink about how you think about content, because it is a tool. It's not a chore. It's a tool you can use to create growth in your business. And if you are at that stage where you do want to get this off your plate, you already have a business, your business is already profitable, you're doing the things, and you're like, oh my goodness, I left burnout in my job to set up my business, and it seems like burnout is creeping in again, right? Then you definitely want to go to physiciansmarketingteam.com and go book that call with Natalie and talk about setting this up as a service for you. And then do that, because I would love for us to all own our voices, and the team, what they will do is amplify your voice. And so your message can get there, and you can serve the people that you feel called to serve, and you can earn the way you deserve to earn. So Natalie, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. All right, people. So as always, remember you're part of the EntreMD movement. So go share this episode with the doctors in your life, and I will see you on the next episode of the EntreMD podcast. Hey, if you love listening to the EntreMD podcast, I want to invite you to join EntreMD On Demand. It is my signature subscription program that gives you access to a library of business courses designed to help you do one thing as a physician entrepreneur, and that is to thrive. Just head out to entremd.com/on-demand, and I'd love to have you join us. See you on the inside.